we've spent a lot of time going through our language and how we identify things on the field, defenses, gaps and holes and alleyway and seam defenders, and then obviously into the different coverages and blitz postures and things along those lines. So now we're going to go into now the progression reads, the keys, how are we reading defenses? Not what are we determining what the coverages are, but now we're going to go into reading defenses. Okay, so I'm going to go into and reading our keys and what we're going to go to. So we're going to go to the whiteboard. Okay, this is fun now. It's tedious to learn what cover 2 is and how to differentiate between cover 2 and cover 4 or cover 6, or 1 high, 2 high. It's kind of, okay, it's good. You got to know it and you have to learn it. But this now becomes, let's play quarterback. Okay, let's play the position and let's go through, and we'll get into some very specific plays here as we get through this process over a few weeks. But today we're going to start to build the language of what we're reading and how we're reading defenses for individual plays. All right. And the first thing, obviously, is we want to know, obviously, in a lot of different things we're going to look for. So our process, what are we coming up to we're breaking the huddle, we're getting the call, we're communicating the call to our offense, right? Now, what is our process from that moment? How are we going about getting ourselves prepared for that play? We got to recognize several things really quickly. All right. And we go top down, inside out. Okay. Top down, inside out. What's that mean? That means that the high safety line that we've been talking about a lot. How many high safeties in an instant? You're looking at that and it's a flash. Okay. So you're trying to identify how many high safeties are there. Okay. Then it's going to be inside out from my odd front, even front in general, really quickly to identify that, hey, we have the guards are uncovered, my center's covered, it's odd front. There are many times we're playing against a defense and they're in odd front every snap. And we know that, and we can glance through that. Now we're looking at alley defenders, where people are in the alley in relationship, especially in relationship to our second receiver, if we're in some kind of 2 detached situation. And then we're going to check our corners for disguise and where their alignment are, inside leverage, outside leverage, looking at me, or are they looking at the defender, those kinds of things. So we're going to go top down, inside out. Okay. Top down, inside out. Okay. That's where we're going to scan as we start to see what we're looking at, so we can identify whether it be coverages or sometimes it's just the math. We know 2 high. I know I got a little more time. 1 high, they may be coming a little bit. Let me see. Or no high. Here comes the kitchen sink. Let's make sure we got a plan. Okay. Now that goes into the next thing, and that is in a pass play is what is our protection responsibilities? Okay. What do we have to do in our protection responsibilities? Very quickly, the first thing, and we've been talking about this quite a bit already. We're looking at our protection responsibilities, and where is my now throw? Okay. Where's my now throw? Also use the term get out of jail. How can I get out of jail? All right. Here comes the heat. What am I going to do with the ball? I got to get rid of the ball quick because they're bringing the heat. And I have to have that in my brain, regardless of what our protection is. In a lot of situations, we have to identify our mic in the protection. Not always. Okay. What is the mic? We got to identify the mic. Okay. And that's not always a given, but that's something that we have to discuss and know how to do very quickly. And then we're going to looking for our protection. And this is pretty detailed. I'm not going to go too far into this, but our protection weaknesses. Okay. And know where our protection weaknesses. This gets into NFL style football, and we're not going to go that far into it yet, but that's something that we have to know in our situation. And right now it's more based on, okay, hey, we think they're going to bring 6 and the matchups and they're not very good. Okay. And this gets into hot and side adjust. And then it also gets into changing protections and re-identifying the mic or changing the mic, or changing the slide, different things along those lines. Again, I'm not going to go too far into that. All right. But the biggest thing in our protection responsibilities is knowing where, right, for you, especially a young quarterback, where's my now throw? Where's my quickest answer to get the ball out of my hands? Who's looking at me the fastest? Who's going to be ready to catch a ball if they're bringing quick heat? Okay. Now, so once we do that, okay, so now let's talk about, okay, we have a situation where we don't think it's any heat. We're in pretty good situation. We think it's a 4-man rush. We think it's 2 high, cover 4, 1 high, no blitz posture, things along those lines. Now let's go ahead and start talking about how do we know where to throw the ball? Okay, where are we going to throw the ball? Okay, and there are several different kinds of reads. First, we're going to talk about is space and grass. Okay, so space, grass, open, coverage weaknesses, open areas, coverage weaknesses that we've discussed already quite a bit. Simple idea again. Where are they keeping people out of the seam areas, or are they pushing people to the seam areas? It's too high. We know that they're going to push people to the seams and try to get everybody. That's where they're strongest. The whole shots on either side of the safeties are and down the middle is the weakness. And we can go through again all those again. I don't want to go back through all those. If you've been studying with us, you have awareness of that. Okay, so where is the space? Where's the grass? Where's the coverage weakness? And there are some certain times that's all there is to it. All right, it's that simple. And there's the space. What receiver's going to run in that space? And that's where I'm throwing the ball. Most of the time, it gets a little bit more in depth than that, but that's the beginning. Okay, so the next thing is defender keys. Okay, defender keys. So now we're going to I'm just going to give you a really basic, simple idea, and that we're going to run a curl flat, okay, concept. All right, and we're going to simply identify and determine who the flat defender is, and we're going to throw opposite of him. If he backs up and takes the curl, we're going to throw the ball to the flat. Okay, simple. He runs with the flat, we're going to throw the ball to the curl. Okay, so simple defender keys. All right, and that's an area of what a lot of people are doing in a lot of ways. In some form or fashion, you're going to do this most of the time in most throws in some way, shape, or form. Okay, next area is just a progression. Okay, we all hear on TV talking about progression reads and things along those lines. What's that mean? Well, let's take that same example, and we're running a curl flat. Okay, so I want to say what's our progression is. I'm going to throw the ball to the flat first, and if he's open, I'm throwing it. If he's not open, I'm going to throw the ball to the curl. Okay, and that's my second read. First read, second read, something along those lines. And again, there's a million ways that we can discuss, a million routes that we can go through. But that is a progression read, meaning that you're looking at a receiver or the area he's running to. I mean, you're not looking at the receiver. You're looking at the area he's running to. And then that's your first read. And if that area is open, then we're going to throw the ball. If it's not, if it's covered or someone's getting ready to break on it, okay, corner, say they're again, same thing right here. You got some kind of triangle defensive position. Okay, strong safety, corner, safety, and you see this corner squats down on it or starting to come down on it. You can say, okay, he's not open. I'm going to turn and throw the ball to the curl. But we want to just again have that language and know what we're talking about. All right, now along the progression read, let's go to the next. First of all, an inside out read, an outside in read, and we have a high low read, and we have a low high read. And then we get into the triangle reads. Okay, what are we talking about? If I'm running a slant and a bubble, Okay. And I'm telling you to throw this ball first. This is number one, and this is number two. This is an outside in read. Okay. Now we're talking about outside route, not outside receiver. Outside route. Who's running the outside route? It's the bubble. The bubble is the outside route. So I'm going to outside in read. I'm going to throw the bubble. I'm going to look at the bubble. I'm going to try to throw it if it's open. And now we'll talk about how that fits into defender keys here in just a second as well. Then the second read is the slant. Okay, so that's an outside in read. If a coach, it doesn't matter how they want you to do it. Okay, and some coaches will do it the other way. They want you to throw the slant first. The slant first, which is hard to do, but that's how some people coach it. That's okay. Now that's an inside out read. So we're running inside out. Okay. We're looking at the slant. We're going to try to throw the slant, and then that space is there. We're going to throw it. It's not, and you come outside to the bubble. That's the difference between an inside out and outside in read. Okay. It's where your eyes are looking and what space. You're not looking at the outside receiver. You're looking at the outside route area. Where is that area? Okay. Obviously, if you're throwing a slant, when you start to look there as you're dropping, you start to look there. This receiver is probably about right here, but you're looking in this area there as he's breaking to it. You're not looking at the receiver running. You're looking at the area that he's going to run. And then you're seeing the timing of that as we go. Okay. Okay. And then we have the high, low, and low, high. So high, low read, low, high read. A simple fade out concept. All right. Okay. So a high, low read, that means we're going to read high to low. Okay. And you're looking at the deep area. Again, you're not necessarily looking right at that receiver. You're just looking at that area. And if the defender covers that one, you're going to throw it to the short one. All right. And then the opposite would be the case. Okay. And that is a low high read. Okay. What's that? That means the opposite of that. That I'm going to read the low defender. We run that route, and you're going to look at him first, 1 to 2. All right. That's a low high read. So you got to know the difference between those.
What's the hey guys, trivia? What's the name of that? What's the name of that concept right there? That low high read.
Smash.
Good job, guys.
Right. A lot of you guys probably know all these things together. All right. So we were just going through and making sure we have an understanding. Now, let's go to the next part. The triangle read. A little more complicated. And we're just going to take these three receivers, okay, where we got Y and the Z and the X, whatever you want to call it. So we're going to have three routes, okay, and those three routes are going to create, okay, a triangle in a sense where we have those three routes within our read and within our sight, and when the space, you want to put it in a space close enough. And all it is really is it relates to a high-low and an inside-out together, or an outside-in together, and you put them all together, creating a triangle. So again, let's just take looks like a generic cover 3. The Sam's out, Mike's out, corners deep, free safety over here, strong safety, whatever the front coverage exactly. Okay. Exact alignment. But we're going to just take and go in a triangle. All right. So you can go middle out. So what's the middle of the triangle? Okay. The middle of the triangle is here. And then how these two defenders cover it. If they split, okay, I'm going to throw it. I'm going to throw the top of the triangle. If they both go toward, okay, in that direction, I'm going to throw to the right side. Okay. If they both go, in this direction, I'm going to throw there. Okay. In a triangle read, I'm looking at the middle and how they respond, how the two defenders, we have three routes, on two defenders, how they respond is where I go and what space. There also is the general, call it just a in and out read, meaning that we got guys on either side of one defender. So let's say it's a different coverage, and again, we can call it whatever we want to call it, but there's a guy on either side of a defender. So we're going to put a guy here and a guy here, and we're reading him in or out, either side, in and out read, in and out read, instead of inside out or outside in. It's an in and out. I got one on either side of it. Again, that can be depending on the coverages and things along those lines.
Stretch, is that a term, Coach?
Stretch, horizontal stretch,
yeah, horizontal stretch. We're stretching the field horizontally.
Yep. So you can call it a lot of different things. A lot of different people call them different things. You can also have in the triangle, you can go from right to left or left to right. Okay, I can go outside in, inside out. Okay, I could, depending on where they are. In this case, I can go 1, 2, 3 in my progression. I could flip that. I can flip that and go outside in this way. Okay, and go 1, 2, 3. So it's where my eyes are going and what I'm looking at. Is he open? I throw it. Nope. This guy ran with him. A strong safety ran with him out here. And so I'm going to throw the curl. He got under the curl. And then I bring my eyes right back to.
And that's where the rhythm of your feet comes in, guys. When you're hitching up and you're keeping yourself in rhythm with your feet and go through your progression.
How in general, as he's talking about feet, I want to discuss that real quick, and then we'll finish with one more of this. Two things are very important as you're doing reads along these lines. Let's just take the outside in. You're going 1 to 2 to 3. All right, so you're scanning from left to right. All right, so your eyes start left. Your feet need to match where your eyes are. So I got to be ready to throw my number one read. I got to have my body and my feet in position to throw the number one read. And then as I scan, okay, I'm bringing my eyes and my feet together. Okay, I'm bringing my eyes together. All right, now, what most quarterbacks do is they move their eyes really fast. The faster you move your eyes, the more blurry everything is, and it's harder to see. So you have to move your eyes fairly slowly as you're going. And a lot of times what happens to younger quarterbacks who haven't done this quite often, they'll look at number one and they'll scan all of a sudden and they'll throw to number 3. They don't even see the curl because they move their eyes so fast, the curl doesn't even appear. So you have to be aware of how fast you're moving your eyes. And then the other part is we talk about for the most part, if you're still looking at number 1 or that space, when you hit the top of your drop, you go to 2 on a hitch, a double hitch, you better be ready to move and throw that on the slide while you're sliding. You're going to have to make a pocket move to throw to number 3. Mm-hmm. If you've already determined in your drop that 1's not going to be open because you saw that guy squat on him right there or what have you, while you're dropping, and you go to here, by the time you hit the top of your drop, you can hitch up to number 3. Mm-hmm. Okay, without moving a whole lot in the pocket. Mm-hmm. So those two things we practice quite a bit in our routes on air. When we're throwing, the different routes, we're going to say, hey, I want you determine at the top of your drop, you're already off of number 1 and you're at 2.
Is this, Coach, is this tying your eyes to your feet is the terminology? Is tie your eyes to your feet. Is this Bill Walsh stuff, Coach?
No question. And you watch
West Coast offense, yeah.
The Art of Quarterbacking by Bill Walsh. There's 7 videos on YouTube. You can't get any better teaching quarterbacks than that. I don't care what anybody. It's old school stuff.
I'm writing it down. The Art of Quarterbacking.
Art of Quarterbacking. Bill Walsh. There's 7 of them. The first half of number 1 is just a highlight about him, but what he brings in ex-NFL players that he coached and teaches his way of quarterbacking and how he's doing all under center. It's not shotgun, but it's very applicable with eyes and feet. And it is I watch it about once a year just to kind of refresh and keep my brain Bill Walsh like.
He was. I love the stories, man. He would. I don't know if it was Joe Montana or Steve Young telling the story about how Bill Walsh would just sit back there and these guys are trying to gun the ball with their arms and and he's like, yeah, just let me see you kind of just dance. Let's just dance, just get, and he would bring in guys. He'd bring in like dance instructors for the quarterbacks. And he was real big on just getting them to get into rhythm with their feet and tie that rhythm of their feet to their throws and their eyes. And it revolutionized the game of football. I mean, Joe Montana did not have a strong arm.
Well, he used to make Steve Young. He would tell Steve Young, see how soft you can throw this ball.
See how soft you can throw it. Yeah, exactly.
How soft can you throw this ball?
Yeah.
And there's a lot of things. There's a lot of really good things. But while, and this gets into also pressure. And I got to throw the ball early sometimes. Mm-hmm. I got to throw the ball here before he's ready to open. So I got to throw it soft.
That's right.
And let him get out of his break before he can do it. So again, that's where we're getting pretty ahead of ourselves here a little bit. But I hope we get the idea a little bit of what a high-low, in and out, outside in, triangle read will be. Now, real quick, we're going to finish on this, and that is my coach he wants me to key defenders all the time. He doesn't give me progression, and I have to look at on that same play. Okay, on that same play, you have to read the curl or the flat defender. Okay, you got to read the flat defender and throw opposite of him. That's your first key, defensive key. Then you have to read the first inside linebacker, okay, and throw away from him. So if I can, you go opposite of him, he goes there, I throw here. He goes there, I throw here. I'm keying the defender. Okay. And then my next key, I have to, when I realize he's going there, then I have to see that next key get to my next read to go to there. So even within a key defender, there's still a progression. There's still going to be a progression, whether it's an inside out progression and I go opposite of who covers the curl, or it's a outside in progression and I go that direction with my eyes and what defenders cover him, or I go inside out and I go that direction with my read. You still are using some kind of progression, and you're going to always have some kind of defender key. Okay, so now I'm running that same thing. Again, there's a million different combinations we can use. All right, my hook keeps getting further over there every time. That tight end gets greedy a lot. I play that spot a lot. Anyway.
Oh yeah.
Okay, now I'm in a progression. Coach just wants me to throw to the first open guy. He's 1, he's 2, he's 3. Well, we need to see the body language. Okay, first of all, is he an apex defender or where is he wider? Okay, right here, he's wider, he's inside eye. Number 2, well, he's got a much better chance of running there. Okay, if he was and covering that first read. If he was apexed or even tighter than apex, well, chances of him running all the way out here and covering that guy are a lot slimmer. So now I can say, okay, I got a better chance of throwing my first read. Okay. So alignment is a part of it. Then body language as well.
Yeah.
Okay. Body language as well. So let's say you see here, he crossover runs and you start to see the back of his numbers. Okay. Well, he's not going to be able to break fast enough over there. So I got my first read. All right. Or you see him shuffling and you can see the front of his numbers. Well, now he's going to have trouble getting deep enough to take that. Okay. So understanding you're within a progression, you're seeing defenders within a defender key, you're having a progression. Okay. So it kind of works together, even though some people don't understand either. They maybe only understand one way to do it. All right. And they don't quite give you all the information, but you as a quarterback know, okay, I need all the information and I can utilize all the information. And I think that's really important. The last thing that we've used quite a bit in, especially formations that dictate defensive coverages a lot, which are usually unbalanced type of formations. Okay. The simple one everybody's using these days is a 3-by-1, three detached receivers to the field, one receiver into the boundary. Okay. We do a lot of things we call yes, no. Okay. Some people will say gifts. Some people will use the term free access. People call it different things. What we're going to do in this case is we're going to say, do you have free access to throw the out route into the boundary, a 10-yard out route? If you do, you're going to take that on a rhythm 3 throw. If not, I don't like it. That flat defender is really wide. Okay, corner's deep. And I thought I was going to be able to throw that, but the flat defender is wide. So I'm going to say, no, I don't want that. So now I'm going to go over here and I got a progression of whatever you can think of. And I'm going to go now through my progression. Let's just say it's a, similar concept that we just went through. Okay. Where we have, maybe it's inside out. We're going 1, 2, 3, or outside in the other way. Yep. Or again, it could be a triangle read where we're trying to throw the curl, and then whoever covers the curl, him, and we'll throw there. If it's this guy, then we'll throw there. Yep. So we have a yes, no on one side with a progression on the other side.
Love it.
And these are all key defender keys, yep. And then a progression on the other side. That is quite a bit. Again, that's normally when we have routes that leave one guy by himself. And sometimes, we might take this, again, like I mentioned before, and do something and create something over here and still have a yes, no there. It's harder to see and know exactly when it's an even, it's a simple formation, but it's easier to see when maybe you have a heavy run formation over here and you have a solo receiver out by himself, and you got something we used to use a long time ago, used to use that formation where we got 2 tight ends into the boundary and a wing and then 2 backs, and we're going to run the heck out of the ball, but we have a yes, no over here. And if we don't, and then we come back and run a play action route and run some kind of pick plays and, pivot routes, spacing, different things like that in a bunch set. So that is a big part of again, some people will call it gift. If they give it to you, take it. We talked about not looking to give horse in the mouth, or free access, another term that people will use. So that's a big part of what we do as well.
Okay. 2 things I want to mention. Number 1, guys, everything Coach Hockman is talking about. And I feel like I want to grab my football and my helmet and go out and play right now. I get fired up in these meetings as I hear Coach Hockman make sense of all this stuff and teach it in a way that it's in a system that we can understand. And I love how he organizes these thought processes for us. It's such good stuff. But guys, this is why, because we're thinking through these progressions and making reads, this is why, number 1, our minds need to be clear. This is why I can't be thinking about the last play. This is why I need to be present, focused. And I need to have belief in myself and confidence and not be insecure, because I'm making decisions out here, man. I need to trust my instincts. Okay, this is why this mental performance mastery is so important. Okay, and this is why your mechanics need to be on autopilot, guys. You cannot be thinking about your feet. You cannot be thinking about your throwing mechanics. Okay. This is why we do all the work in the dark in the off season when no one's watching. We practice our 5-step drops and our 3-step drops and our rhythm throws and our reset throws and our escape, reset our feet, and our throwing on the run and our play action, flip my hips, set up in the pocket, flush, step up. This is why we do all that stuff over and over and over and over and over again, so that we can just, our feet, our movements, our throwing, it's like breathing. It's automatic. We don't think about it. Okay. And the second thing I wanted to say, and Coach Hockman, you'll crack a smile when I say this. Now, I know you heard this back in the day at Bowling Green. You probably heard it maybe not as many times as I heard it, but Coach Miller, our offensive coordinator, my quarterback coach, someone who both Kyle Hockman and I hold in very high regard, he used to say to me all the time, my number one receiver, Coach Hockman knows my number two receiver, okay, as much as I love him. My number one receiver was
Never mind. Go ahead. Sorry.
My number one receiver was my mom in the stands. Coach Miller used to say that to me all the time. If you get back there and you go through your progression and throw the ball away, throw it to your mom in the stands. Okay. That could also be tuck and run, right? But guys, sometimes you get back and you go through and there's like, and we don't know what we're going to do with the ball. And it's common. It's normal. Throw it away. Live to play another down. Get to the next play. That's all we want to do as a quarterback is get to the next play. The only time we want the kicking team coming onto the field is when we're kicking an extra point or a field goal. Okay? Just get to the next play. So I really, really can't emphasize that enough, guys. Coach has given us a system for thinking and processing information, making decisions, but there's still times that we're just not sure what we're going to do with this football, guys. And what you can't do is you just can't throw it up for grabs. Okay? Throw it away. Throw it to your mom in the stands or your dad. Coach?
Good stuff.
Good stuff, man. Good stuff. Hope you guys enjoyed it as much as I did.